CBS Sports HQ presented by Jersey Mike's. Jersey Mike's, a sub above. Two teams got off the coaching carousel on Tuesday, the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos. The Broncos making the biggest splash. They agreed to a deal to bring Sean Payton in as their head coach. Between Payton and the Russell Wilson deal, the Broncos have given up 3 first-round and 3 second-round picks. As for the Texans, they didn't have to give up anything to get DeMeco as their new head coach, the 38-year-old leaving the 49ers after 6 years with Kyle Shanahan. That brings the vacancies filled to 3. Frank Reich going to the Panthers got things rolling earlier in the week. The Cardinals and Colts, the only other teams waiting to hire head coaches. Brady, Quinn, and Prisco here. Let's talk about some of these coaching moves that happened on Tuesday. The Denver Broncos acquiring Payton. What type of a bounce back should we expect from the likes of Russell Wilson with Payton coming in?
Well, if anyone can fix the issues that we saw from Russell Wilson last year, it's Sean Payton. He's one of the best offensive minds. I think the way he goes about game planning, the way he goes about in-game calling and making adjustments is second to none. And so this is a huge gift for the Denver Broncos organization. And they're going to get a year now to really have Sean Payton evaluate Russell Wilson and if he can get him back to the Pro Bowl caliber quarterback that he was for such a long part of his career during his time in Seattle. But it also shows you, to me, Pete, I think with the way this trade went down, they've got a sense of urgency to win now. They know where the roster's at. They know they're kind of built to compete in the AFC West and try to win right now. And that's why they're aggressive at going in Sean Payton.
I think Sean Payton's arguably the best play caller and game planner in the league when he's in the league. And you know, Kyle Shanahan's in that conversation as well. But Sean Payton's outstanding. If anybody, like you said, can fix Russell Wilson, it's him. I don't know if he's fixable. And I think he's a case study in guys who can move when they're young and create outside the pocket, and now he doesn't move as well. And he's never been a guy, and you know this, Brady, that's going to stand in there and go through 1, 2, 3, 4 and check it down. That's just not who he is. So can he get back to moving again? He looks sluggish. He looks slow. He looked a little bit heavy at times during the season. He just didn't look the same. Can Sean Payton fix that? I don't know, because it's a big task to get him back close to what he used to be.
You know, to that point, the interesting thing about Russell, I think early on in his career, he really looked up to Drew Brees as a model for how he wanted to play from the pocket, how he wanted to kind of move within the pocket, how he'd lead, even to that point. So it's interesting now you're bringing in a coach who obviously helped Drew Brees put together a Hall of Fame career, and he's going to look to try to do the same thing. So I'm kind of with you in regards to, are his best days of moving and running around, you know, still in front of him? Probably not. But I'm a little more bullish on Sean Payton being able to help Russell Wilson play from the pocket and play the way we saw with Drew Brees, and whether it's, you know, implementing, you know, more of the quick game, screens, other things that I think will maybe moving a little bit within the move the pocket sort of plays, or even some quick hitters on the outside on the run. Those sorts of things sprinkle them enough to be able to have that flavor, but at the same time still being able to allow him to play from the pocket.
The only thing he has in common with Drew Brees is the height. They don't play the same. They're not even close to the same.
But Russell Wilson would like to model his game similar to that.
He's a little old for that.
And there is some talk that maybe Payton tries to bring Brees in to kind of help with that a little bit and help with Russell Wilson in terms of recovering that lost form. Pete, since we're speaking about QBs, I mean, the situation in Houston is obviously a little bit different. DeMeco comes in. You've been a fan of Davis Mills. So does Ryans ride with Mills, or do you see the Texans going in a different direction?
They're drafting a quarterback. And you know what? It's a great job right now. You could look at these jobs, and you could look at that Denver job and say, oh, that's a great job. This is a better job. And the reason it's a better job, you have cap room, you have assets, and you can draft your own quarterback. And he's going to be on a rookie deal. It's not that big bloated contract that they paid Russell Wilson. So you can supplement the roster. I love this job. I think DeMeco Ryans is the right guy for the job, and I think they're moving in the right direction. You know, somebody said yesterday, I think JJ said that they're the team to beat in the division. No, or they can be. No, Jacksonville's the team to beat in the division because they have their quarterback already. If Bryce Young or whoever they pick is that kind of guy, then this team is also going to be in the conversation.
Yeah, I think they've got the chance in the next couple of years to flip this thing around and be competitive once again and try to win the AFC South. My concern is the support of Cal McNair. You've gone through head coaches the previous 2 seasons. You've got to know that you're building this thing back up with most likely a rookie quarterback you're going to take number 2 overall. I don't think they need to move up to number 1 in order to take Bryce Young if he is that player for them, but you got to connect the dots here, right? DeMeco Ryans, former Alabama player, right? He's now the head coach with Nick Casario, who, going back to his time in New England, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick are really close. So there's a lot of ties back to Nick Saban, back to Alabama, and I think they're going to be enamored with, once they turn on the tape, the way Bryce Young can play the game. It just comes down to whether or not they can protect him and provide him enough resources around him.
Well, don't forget they get John Mechie back. I mean, he'll be back this year. And, Dameon Pierce got hurt last year. When he's on the field, he's a heck of a running back. So,
yeah,
they need more help, but they have a ton of picks. They have a ton of draft picks, and they have cap room. I love where this team is headed.
It's not a great year at the wide receiver position.
No.
At least top end from what we've seen in years past.
If Bryce Young is the real deal, they will be in the mix with Jacksonville. They will be the two teams in that division.
Couple minutes left here, a couple of topics to go. Two head coach openings remain, Arizona and Indianapolis. Any insight onto what direction those teams went?
I have no idea which direction. I mean, I think Indianapolis, you lean to think that they're just going to hire Jeff Saturday, and there's really no point based on everyone else who's talked about it, interviewed for it.
I don't think so.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like there's maybe some hesitance too, and people wanting to take that, maybe because of Jim Irsay, and with the Cardinals hiring their general manager first. That leads you to think that maybe they've been a little slow in this process because now you're going in as a head coach working with someone who you might not have a previous history with. So I think both of these teams are a little behind the eight ball. And I also ask you this, is Kyler Murray, being that he's under contract with an extension in Arizona, do you think that could be potentially holding up a head coach looking at it? Or Sean Payton, who chose Denver as opposed to Arizona, could that be potentially holding it up?
Yeah, I think so, and probably because Denver was going to pay a lot more money to Sean Payton because they have that Walton money and that Walmart money. So yeah, I think so. I think Indianapolis, Peyton Manning's pushing Brian Callahan, and Brian Callahan's a good coach. From everybody I talked to, his father's coached in the league for a long time. No, he's pushing Brian Callahan, so that would make some sense. And then Arizona, I think Arizona should hire a defensive coach. But before you hire that defensive coach, hire a guy who knows who his coordinator is going to be and can work with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing in Arizona. If you hire a defensive coach, everyone's going to turn and say, okay, well, who's your offensive coordinator? So it still comes back to the offensive side.
Lou Anarumo and Aaron Glenn. Those are two guys I would look strongly at both of them because I think they can both fit in there, provided they hire the right offensive coordinator.
Well, and you're talking about both Ben, so like Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, maybe try to bring him with them. Probably wouldn't work out that way. But.
Yeah.
All right, Brady, Quinn, Pete Prisco discussing coaching moves and some offseason storylines here on HQ. For more on the offseason and, of course, player preps for the Super Bowl, be sure to check out All Things Covered. BMAC and Pat P having a conversation with Urban Meyer in the latest episode about his time with the Jags. Download and follow All Things Covered wherever you get your podcast.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.